evening. All right, going live on Facebook. We're about to be live everywhere. You are now live.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for showing up to these live streams. This is number 6 in a series of 15, and it's all about finding your passion and promoting it. Whether you're a creative or you have a craft or a service, the principles all apply, the same principles. There's our doorbell. We are doing this at home. I'm Clare Cooley, author, artist, multimedia artist. My son Bodhi is Bodhi the Movie Maker on YouTube. My YouTube channel is The Creativity Show, where you can see all of these live streams after we do them. They go up there. So if you can't be here Monday, Thursday, 11 a.m. Central Time, you can watch it, or if you want to see it again and tell your friends, great, you can go see it anytime, as well as my other videos on, I just love to create, and this outfit I'm wearing, this jewelry, I love to make everything. This is my rose stencil on there's one on my pant leg. These are silk pajamas that I turned into the red rose outfit. I used the red rose on this card, and every live stream I'm wearing a different stenciled outfit. One of them I did this little lavender orchid, and then there was the chrysanthemum and the purple iris. So I like to show as many different ways we can be creative as possible, for the joy of creating. Stepping into the flow of creative reverie is calming, it's happiness increasing. They literally have documented that scientifically, that if we step into our creative flow, we are increasing our happiness. If we express our emotions, we're stimulating our immune system, any emotion expressed. And creativity is a way to respectfully, safely express any and all feelings. So it's a way to heal ourselves. It's also a way to help others, inspire them that they can do the same thing, be their own sacred witness writing, which is what I want to thank the National Endowment for the Arts and the Minnesota State Arts Board for awarding me a grant to do these, based on having written my book, my memoir. I'm going to come sit down now and whoa, and drop my scarf on the way. To sitting down. So here's the scarf. Ain't that pretty? So we'll put it here. And here's my memoir, Incandescence, Rising Above Darkness. I didn't think I was a writer until Pomegranate Art Books saw my 15 species of cranes paintings and said, yeah, we'd like to publish this book, you should write it. And so I accepted the challenge, faced my insecurity about becoming a writer, which I'm glad I did before embarking on this much more challenging writing my own life stories, because people said hearing them helped them heal and restore their hope. So I faced my doubts about sharing my true story, my authenticity and my vulnerability in order to help others. So I really appreciate it when you share the book with others. People say the title Incandescence, my mother gave me that in a note. Do you know you have inner incandescence, dear? It's where that title, and Rising Above Darkness is why I wrote the book, not only because I rose above my own darkness, which is a constant ongoing challenge. It's not some place you arrive at peace and then you're there forever. No, it's something we're always working on. So, but because I have learned these beautiful things about creativity, finding our passions and promoting it, sharing it with others, I can keep rising above my darkness, and I hope to help others do the same. The more of us that share our authenticity with the world, the richer our problem solving, our enjoyment of the world can be, because in biology, the more diverse any ecosystem is, the healthier it is. So I hope that you can find your courage, and it is selfless to share ourselves, because that's what can help others and help the planet come back into balance. And especially women who have been taught by what I like to call the self-organizing sexism of the world not to speak up, not to know what they know confidently, not to share. We're supposed to be, so the world teaches us, and often punishes us if we aren't meek and self-sacrificing. But, I've helped a lot of people in my life. My nephews I raised, I took in my mother. I love helping people, but I also know that giving to the whole world can't happen if we let, one of my favorite one-liners is, don't let the few drain you so the many can't get any. And so that's a writing project, my one-liners, that distillations. One of the benefits of maturing, getting older, is we have all this experience and this time to contemplate, to come up with things of value that delight us and hopefully entertain and help instruct others. So getting to this live stream about press and press packages, I want to say, for any of you that are new to these live streams, the first live stream was find your passion and promote it, how to find your passion and promote it. The second one was about creating and sharing. The third was about social media. The fourth was about search engine optimization. The fifth, content exposure, on Monday. And today is about press and press packages. I'm going to go through all 15 so you know what's coming up. Next one will be about events. Then the next one will be contacts. Then it'll be whether you go with, if you're a writer, big, independent, or self-publisher, which could also be relevant to any kind of creativity that you want to make, or service, or craft, or whatever, whether you want to do it with a big company, a small company, or by yourself, or with your own company. So then the one after that is how to find your passion project, what you really love doing. And the one after that will be how to complete it, how to commit to completing it, because if we don't complete it, we can't share it. And that's really hard to do, but it is possible. And here we are. Before I started writing my memoir with over 52 stories and over 60 pieces of art and 40 photographs from different creative things I've done, I thought, wow, there's too much writing your life story. How do you do that? It's not over yet. There's so many doubts, so many ways to talk myself out of doing it, but I just said, face your insecurities, your doubts, commit to completing it, and begin. And there you go. So the 12th will be how to get feedback to improve whatever you're working on. And that's extremely important because sharing it with others is so gratifying. And to me, I do art for me, but I'm not fulfilled until I share it with others and I feel or experience or hear back from people that it moved them. That is when I feel that exponential fulfillment beyond the personal fulfillment of completing something is sharing it. And how to know when it's done is live stream 13. 14, how to make a promotional plan. And the last one, my favorite, how to celebrate that we did complete something, we did the work. And that's extremely important because whatever happens, we can't know what's going to happen when we create a body of work or we make an invention or we create a service. We can't know how other people are going to receive it, if they're going to receive it, if we're going to ever be supported by it. So it's very, very important that we celebrate that we did it and enjoy that feeling, that gratitude that we have for ourselves, facing our doubts and insecurities and doing the work. So that way we've won no matter what else happens or doesn't happen. So this live stream about press and press packages. The first thing is finding appropriate press outlets, local, regional, state, country, global, depending on where you're at. Obviously, starting with local and growing is very logical. And we're talking about TV, radio, periodicals, blogs, podcasts, news stations. And it's a place that we're going to reach out to with our press package, which is basically a newsletter of who we are, what we're doing, what we want to share, what we want to promote. And it can be tailored to each of these different TV, radio, periodicals, blogs, podcasts, or our personal email list. That's more of a personal newsletter. So searching, when we find these outlets that are appropriate for what we're doing, we want to search their websites to see who to contact. And then we copy and paste into creating our own mailing list called maybe media outlets, whatever you want to call it, to keep organized. So grow as you go, but adding the different outlets to your master mailing list. And when you have an event, you add that information to your calendar. So when they have events, you add it to your calendar so you can stay organized and methodical about this, what can be very daunting, overwhelming to think about doing all of this. So you just take it one step at a time and you ask for help. If you're fortunate enough to have someone in your life, like I have Bodhi, I had my mother when she was alive, someone, both artists who understand the creative disposition and who value my desire to give what I think is the best I have to give to the world, whether it makes money or not. I do it for love, and much of my life I've done other things for money to always stay ahead of the bills and not have to borrow money or go into debt, to have the peace of mind that I was keeping up, even when I was supporting my two nephews, my mother and myself by myself, running a restaurant, cleaning houses, being a janitor. I even worked on the boats as a longshore person. I like to call myself a stevedores. And I've planted trees, I've painted houses, I've done a lot of different things for money so that I could keep my art happy making, pure, for love, for purpose. And now in life, I finally get to focus on it. Thank you, life. Thank you, self, for staying with it till I got here. And thank you for the luck, the good fortune of having a son who loves technology and can help me with all these technological parts and can receive my assistance on the vision parts. So we work together and make each other's efforts stronger. I don't think anybody does it alone, but we really don't need a whole posse of people. We need, I believe, one other person, and that's often what I've had in life, that really believes in us and has our best interest at heart, is has no hidden agenda and just wants us to be better and will tell us the truth when they see something that needs improvement. And we trust them, so we can open up to hearing that constructive criticism and take it as a compliment that they're willing to give it to us. So the next thing in this press, getting promotional exposure, is connecting with other creators or influencers that may be aligned with what we're doing in our niche, and getting their reviews, especially if they're well established and their following can find us easier, and it can grow our following. I'm going to
Gesundheit.
I haven't sneezed on a live stream before, but it's bound to happen sooner or later. So,
God bless you.
thank you. Okay.
Round two. That's very nice.
Let's see if there's three. They say that's good luck. All right.
Whoa.
That really made me laugh. Okay. So I have to admit, with these live streams, that what I like the best are the bloopers. Me laughing at myself is the part I like the best. You may be surprised that I don't actually look back at these unless it's a blooper, because the rest I have lots of insecurity, and who doesn't? Everybody does. If they pretend they don't, they're being false. But especially women, and especially mature women, it's such a competitive world, and we're taught we're supposed to be the most or the best. And the truth is, the only thing we can be the best at is being ourselves. No one else can be better at that than us. Everything else is up for grabs. So don't compete with anyone but yourself of yesterday, and then you always win, because if you keep going and growing, then you're better than yourself of yesterday. So I like to win. I prefer it. So, all right, back to this. In your niche, connect with creators and influencers and try to get their reviews, and connect with social media groups and forums that are aligned with what you're doing. And another thing you can do is create posters or flyers or brochures. When I've done some museum shows. I created flyers and put them up in store windows and stuff like that. And here I'm going to ask Bodhi to come on and talk about our press release and our newsletter. You can use as a template for yours. So tell them how they can do that.
Great. Yeah. Well, in the link for our newsletter is in the description. So if you sign up for our newsletter, we will send you templates of the newsletters that we make and the press releases that we've sent out. There's also a newsletter sign up QR code right here on the screen. Scan that, and that will take you to the newsletter sign up. One moment, and I will share my screen and just show you a preview of the templates you're going to get when you sign up for our newsletter. Let's share the screen. So here is an example of a short newsletter that we made using MailChimp and how we organized it. Title, brief blurb, eye-catching photos that tell the story of the information we're trying to deliver, and then a brief couple of short paragraphs with links to the products or books or event pages that we want to talk about, and then also the relevant news. We were also talking about getting our books and screenplays selected to Catalyst, the world's largest TV festival. So every sentence here, my first live reading of my memoir, Incandescence, Rising Above Darkness, has a link that can take you to that information. Like if you were to click that, it would take you to probably the book. And then the next sentence, this coming Saturday, November 26th, Central Standard Time, click here to see the Facebook event page. And then we went on to say the same thing. Excuse me. Oh, darn it. Bodhi's sci-fi thriller, Northport 1999, live reading will be the same day. Click here to see the event page. So very brief newsletter, and then at the end we've got our links and our sign-off. So it's just a one-page newsletter. And then let me pull up the other one that you're going to get as a template. So you can basically just copy and paste these newsletters that we made and use them as a template. Use them as your own inspiration for yours. Now let's share what I'm calling a long newsletter. This is more of a thorough update. So as you can see, I scroll through this one. It's approximately 2.5 pages. It starts with a brief blurb and then discusses our most recent YouTube videos, mine and then hers, and it shares. You can click right on these YouTube videos and they will play in the email. So it makes it really easy for your newsletter reader to get the information. And then subscribe links we put in there. It's a great way to get your newsletter readers to become YouTube subscribers. And then we also shared our previous newsletter, knowing that it contained some really important information that, because our email mailing list grows rapidly sometimes, we know that people might have missed a previous newsletter. So we kind of did a 2-for-1, sharing some really important information, such as my mother and I got interviewed by the co-founder of Sundance, Serena Catania, and she called her memoir an instant classic, and that I got to write a script based on her memoir that Pamela Cedarquist, a writer from Netflix's Mindhunter, volunteered to help me with after reading. And she, in fact, suggested the name Life of Clare, and then we go on to show Life of Clare, the screenplay I wrote based on my mother's memoir, was selected for Catalyst, and here's its sidewalk star. And then we've got links to the podcast and all that stuff and more relevant news. And as always, we've got a sign off with our information and our most important links. And then at the bottom here, we also have, you can click here to go right to our Twitter, Facebook, or web pages. And at the bottom of newsletters, you have to have certain disclaimers and your mailing address, so that information goes there. Now let's show you the final template, and then it's back to Claire. Okay. Actually, we have just two more things to show you. So this is an example of kind of a cross between a newsletter and a press release. This was actually sent out on MailChimp as an email newsletter. This is about when we launched her book with a live video book launch. So it's got to have all the relevant information right up front. So the title of this email actually includes a logo of her book, and then the title includes all the important information, date and time, and what's happening. Then we got a professional portrait with the book cover, and then again reiterating, join us Wednesday at 7 p.m. for the live video book launch, reading and questions, with the links on how you can watch it. And I think it's really important to offer your video on a place other than Facebook. Some people don't do Facebook. Some people also don't do YouTube. So if you can embed your live streams right onto your website, that's a good idea. We did that in this case. And we kept it short and sweet. Please RSVP on the Facebook event page. That was the main call to action. So we put a big button there. And then we put our Facebook, Twitter, and forward this email button earlier on, right under the call to action. And then we left this big block of text, an excerpt from the afterword by me, for the very end. You want to get everybody up front with the most important information, and then if they have more of an attention span, maybe they'll read a larger block of text. All right, one more thing that you'll see in this template. Again, scan that QR code or click the link down in the description to get access to these. So, I guess the other thing, maybe I don't have open here, but so I just showed you 4 newsletters, but what you'll also get access to when you sign up for the newsletter is a press release template, specifically what we've used to get broadcast interviews on TV and on the radio. So it's about reaching out specifically to news organizations and how you do that in a professional, engaging, and succinct manner, and how you can suggest to them artfully what the name of the article might be, what questions they could ask you, and what the answers will most likely be. Newscasters, people, editors of magazines and newspapers, they're busy. Super busy. So the easier you can make their job spelling out exactly what the article is going to be, all the way down to what the headline might be, and recommending a few questions, you're going to save them time. They're going to really appreciate that. So that's what you'll see on our template press release. I can pull that up if you want me to show that, Mom, but
I think we can go back to talking about it, and they can get it through the links, and it's hard to read all that on the screen for most people. So go ahead and avail yourself of us offering what we've discerned, and obviously it's how we did it, and everybody does it their own way. But we did some research on what to include, and I'm going to talk a little bit about what to include in a press release, which is basically, you can think of it as a newsletter because that's far less intimidating, and your newsletter could have different groups. It could have your family, friends, community, and then it could get more specific for a press package, and it could get even more tailored to whatever place you're sending your press package. But we divided our topics for our newsletter press package into interviews, grants, podcasts, live streams, videos, books, screenplays and pitches, the web store that Bodhi built for my art, Patreon memberships, and my stencil scalable vector graphics that were just made purchasable. They're called SVGs, meaning you can download them from the internet, buy them on the internet, and make them any size you choose with your Cricut cutter. And then creativity coaching. So those are the categories. We started with interviews and included Perfect Day Duluth and the Cognitive Magazine and Zenith, City News and KQMD and Catalyst Creator Spotlight and the podcast that Serena Catania, he mentioned, one of the co-founders of Sundance Film Festival, did of us, and a local 9 o'clock meltdown. So Bodhi was interviewed on a number of different podcasts of artists put up or producers put up. So we included that. And then the grants, granting organizations, the National Endowment for the Arts and Minnesota State Arts Board, and the subjects that we got granted for, like reading excerpts from my memoir, and now these talking about how to find your passion and promote it. And I've gotten another grant. Thank you, Miss, to the National Endowment for the Arts grant, Minnesota State Arts Board grant for my next book, nonfiction, which I'm working on now. And one of these live streams is going to be talking about whether to go with a big publisher, an independent publisher, or self-publish. And as I've said, my Book of Cranes, my first published book, big publisher, self-published so that I didn't have to change my vision, compromise my vision of having lots of art, because creative reverie was my safe place through my childhood and difficult stuff I've been through in life. And it's what I want to share with others as a resource to enrich our lives and to walk lighter on the planet, to be economical and ecological, to solve the challenges we have in the world. The more access we have to our imaginations and our creativity, the better chance. And the more we connect with people that care, the compassionate, creative types, the more likely we can combine our energies to address these huge challenges we have, which I am very hopeful we can come back into balance with nature and we can cohabitate peacefully with one another and appreciate diversity instead of fear it. So there'll be a lot of that kind of stuff in my next book, which will be nonfiction, but I'm going to ruminate more than this book is full of stories, things I've actually experienced. The book I'm writing now that an independent publisher found me on, so I'll be able to talk about big publisher, self-publisher, independent publisher, and the pros and cons, the assets, challenges of each of them. So then we put up live streams that we've gotten, some that we've gotten grants to do and some that we've done on our own. And we've put out lots of videos that basically, I like to call us the DIY not duo, because we restored this over 100-year-old house ourselves. I feel really good about finding a house that needed loving attention, lots of deferred maintenance. So it was in our budget, and doing almost all the work ourselves. I had some some help from my cousin who built his own place, and he taught us some stuff we had never done before and worked with us a little bit. And then I did hire one guy to help with the heavy lifting. So it wasn't all on Bodie. And other than that, we did it all ourselves. And you can see that in polishing the Emerald Lady on the Creativity Show. So we've done a video that did really well, got a lot of views, was converting our 100-year-old carriage house into an art studio where we can create art, film, and I can even skate dance out there. So love using the spaces to their fullest advantage. And we have lots of videos on Bodie, his technical, he's built a PC, he's learned how to use Unreal Engine. So all of this stuff is talked about, mentioned in our newsletter, press release, how he used Unreal Engine to make his first animated movie based on his book, and how we learn as we go. He asked me to work with him years ago and named us Mother Son Productions, and I was delighted. And we are a very broad spectrum, very different perspectives, and I highly recommend that you find someone different than yourself that's got your best interest at heart and no hidden agendas, and will tell you the truth, what they think you need to know, and you trust them and you open up to it and you improve yourself by seeing yourself from another perspective. And the more different your style, taste, skill set is, the better, because two people that do two different sets of things well make it a much broader whole assortment of skills you need, especially to be a creative in this world where there's a lot of confusion that, most people out of fear put money before everything else. But I've never borrowed money. And well, no, that's not true. I once borrowed money thinking for the first time in my life I'd go to school and get a degree. But when I realized that I was basically educating myself, my degree committee told me, I thought, why am I borrowing money for them to tell me I can educate myself? And so I never borrowed money again. I've just kept my art going and kept ahead of the bills and kept ahead of debts so that I had more freedom and time. But there were times I had 5 minutes a day for my art, but I kept doing it because it's where my joy comes from. And, sharing it with other people enhances that joy. So the videos are about everything from restoring this house and the carriage house into a studio to making your own animated movies. And now I've done a series on these stencils, how to stencil clothes and fabric. I've stenciled on walls. I've made these cards on tote bags that we reuse so we have less waste. And I'm all about my whole life, I've tried to find things that maybe other people don't even see any value in. And all the clothes I've stenciled came from used stores. And I love to recreate, repurpose, find sticks and stones and feathers and simple organic stuff, or I'm going to do a whole project on boxes soon, which I don't know, you can't see it, but I have a tower of boxes over here that's, I'm going to call that art installation piece, the uncompartmentalized feelings. And out of the top of the box, I'll show you some other time, are all these reeds that have emotions on these little tags, light and dark, one side and the other, out of the box, uncompartmentalized feelings. And I have some other box, because there's so many boxes that, happens, especially since COVID and ordering things. And I'm anti-waste. So I've saved them thinking I can do something creative and meaningful out of them. And so I'm starting on that. So even boxes, when we take a walk, Bodhi will laugh at me because I almost always find a beautiful stick, and I'll just stop and admire the stick. And sometimes I bring them home. I had one day where I was admiring a stick in someone's yard, and the man came out of the house and said, "Would you like that stick?" And I said, "Oh, yes." So I brought it home, and I've used it in some art arrangement outside. So I love to use what I have instead of think, what can I buy? So create instead of consume. So there's a lot, over about 150 different videos out there now on the Creativity Show of me making things. The DIY fine, frugal, and fabulous fashion, and I've made dishes, I've designed furniture, so many things. And the stencils, our latest, going into our newsletter, is, I think, the simplest art form that is most universal. Anybody can take these designs, like this rose or the cards I've shown you, where you can take these simple designs and make greeting cards, note cards. You can put them on bags, scarves, clothes, walls, anything you want to do with them. And I love to distill nature down to its basic essence and its most simple, elegant form, and spread the joy of creating with them by offering them as stencils. So I finally just started my own Patreon. So that's going in our lives, into our press package newsletter. And my Patreon members will be able to have access to all the stencils I'm going to put out there, as I put them out there, with Bodhi's help, turning them into what are called scalable vector graphics, SVGs. And people can buy them on the internet through Etsy or my website, but they'll get them for no extra cost when they become a Patreon member. And eventually all my nearly 300 so far, and I'll keep going, stencils will be coming out one after another, and my Patreon members will have access to them. So, in the promoting yourself, finding your passion, promoting yourself, if you're a creative, chances are you write and you paint and you design and you make jewelry and you make clothes and blah, blah, blah. You just, creativity flows in any direction we choose to. So how to turn it into something we can share, commerce, is also a creative project. So I'm very excited about having my first Patreon. Bodhi's had a Patreon membership for his book, Northport 1999, for over a year, and his members get his whole book and his animated video. And so he inspired me to, well, how about I offer these stencils, which are what I love to do. My very first drawings in my 20s were what I call essence drawings, that are I have trouble with these microphones. They
Yeah,
feel
just
funny.
flip it in. There you go. You got it.
I got it. So I liked to reduce the bird or the plant or the flower, whatever it was, to the fewest possible lines that communicated that creature or that botanical. And so now, all these years later, I'm turning them into these stencil designs to share with others. And so part of promoting ourselves is talking about the stuff we're doing, which I've always had trouble with, but I'm trying to embrace it. And you know, it's hard for especially women. We feel like we're not supposed to brag. We're not supposed to talk about ourselves. But how do we share what we have to offer the world if we don't talk about it? So it's what I called, and I mentioned earlier, self-organizing sexism. If women think they're not supposed to talk about what they know, what they have to share, they're only supposed to gossip or complain. Uh, wow, that doesn't help anybody, especially the woman doing the gossiping or complaining. So share what you have, share what you know, give it to the world that desperately needs to come back into balance by, I believe, women speaking up and bringing their natures. And men can be nurturing, men can be compassionate. I've known a lot of males that are. I've known women that are very assertive and aggressive and competitive and initiate, and things that are generally ascribed to male energy. Let's all be whole, and let's bring our whole selves into the world to bring the world back into balance. So let's not hold each other back by judging ourselves or each other. So that is a lot of what's in these videos. Even though the subject may be find your passion and promote it, obviously it's me talking, so I'm weaving in who I am and what I believe I have to offer that can help. And I'm motivated to do that. And it's gratifying. So I have so many things I've made because, well, like everybody else, I want a beautiful home. I want beautiful clothes and beautiful jewelry. And I've never had the big budget. That didn't come from any wealth, didn't have any of that, advantage given to me. And I don't feel bad about it because I learned to create from what I had. And I learned some philosophies like, make your life a little more what you want it to be every day. So everybody wants to feel like what they're offering is appreciated. So you can't feel like that if you don't give it to the world. So find your passion and promote it and share it with the world and turn it into a book and a screenplay or a pitch. All these things that are in our newsletter and press package. Find those things that you love to do that other people can value, get something out of it. And our web store that Bodhi, I'm so delighted that he has the technical skills I don't have, and all the art that I've created over the years. I guess we have 500 different paintings, drawings, etchings that can go on the website. We're starting, I think we have about 70 on there now, but we also make our own numbered and signed limited edition prints here, museum quality, on acid-free paper with archival inks. And we sell them, we make them here, and we get to sell them at a reasonable price because we don't have to pay a middle person or several middle people who all get their cuts. So we can sell directly to people that appreciate my almost exclusively nature art. But there are a few people, as you can see from my book cover, and 7 Cities at Sunset. But it's mostly nature that inspires me and has been my design and my professor of my art professor. And we're so delighted that very soon on the web store that Bodhi built for me, Clare Cooley /shop.
ClareCooley.com/shop.
You can see how good I am at the social media technology. I don't even know the name of my own shop yet, somehow.
You do the art. That's good.
Thank you.
We have
That's
a
why
bunch
we
of
should always
questions.
be a team. Nobody's good at everything. Find someone or a few other people that are good at things you're not good at and help them in the areas that they could use your assistance, and be a team for your mutual benefit and the benefit of others. And
Yeah.
so
We
we're
have a
very
bunch of
soon.
questions.
Great. We have we're very soon going to offer the stencils on my web store and the Patreon memberships. And the only other category that we put into our newsletter press packages is creativity coaching, which I love ever since I was asked to teach in my 20s. I never would have thought of it. But 9 people in one day suggested it, and I'm like, they must know something I don't know. So I learned to teach, learned to be a student by being a teacher. And they say it's the best way to learn is to teach. So I stepped up, and I love helping other people. Call it a guide for people on the way home to themselves. So I love helping other people find their passion and how to turn it into something that supports or satisfies them. So I do that for individuals or groups, and Bodhi's made, their website I help them design. And so we're a team, and I love to help others have that joy of sharing who they really are. So let's go to some questions now.
Great. And can you hear me good out there?
Yep, perfect.
All right. So for those of you wondering, if you want to talk about creativity coaching, go ahead and email her at clarecooleycollection@gmail.com. And yeah, in these last couple minutes here, we'll just fly through these. So
Okay.
this is a comment followed by a question. Love this. Your words and charming set create such a warm and lovely atmosphere.
Thank you. Thank you.
And then they said, what inspired you to write this Incandescence Rising Above Darkness? Also, I love the title. Where did that come from?
Okay. What inspired me is other people telling me that hearing my stories, I didn't start telling my truth till I was 25. But once I did, people told me it really helped them to hear my real stories. And I decided at that time in my life to be honest and not be ashamed of things that happened to me. I didn't do it to me. And not be confused by the world that tries to blame victims for what they've gone through because they're afraid to admit that the world is sometimes, cruel to perfectly innocent people that did nothing to bring it on themselves. Terrible things can happen to. So I started telling my truth. When it came up, I thought, now. And I've heard a lot of feedback in my life that it helped. So that's what inspired me to do it. And the title, my mother wrote me a note. Did you know you have inner incandescence, dear? And that's where incandescence came from. And rising above darkness was my choice. When awful things happened to me, there was a voice in my heart. And I know my mother had a tremendous influence on it, that I deserve to be happy and I deserve to heal. So I'm not going to let those that hurt me, I'm not going to keep that hurt and resentment, hate in my heart. So how can I rise above it? Forgive them. That doesn't mean forget what happened. It doesn't mean absolve them of the responsibility of what happened, but let the hurt go. So that's where the title, and that's why I wrote it, is to help others,
Great,
hopefully by being an example.
great. So those were actually two different people. We got DB and M makers, and then we have, so thank you for those questions and comments. And then we have Madeline asking, I agree, it is so important to celebrate the little milestones and achievements along the way. And then she also wrote, oh, this is perfect. I need this info. Can you share any tips or strategies for effectively communicating the essence of your book in a concise press release?
Yes, that's a great question. Thank you for all the questions and comments. I really, really appreciate them. As I said, I do art because I feel happy and good when I'm doing it, but sharing it fulfills me. And so thank you. When you get feedback, it really helps you know that you're on the right path. And so speaking of that question of concise, if you're writing a memoir, it's really important to ask other people. And we cannot ever have total objectivity on ourselves, or even if we're making up a fictional story, it doesn't matter. It's very helpful to get feedback. And so, to find out what it means to other people, what other people take away from it, can really, really, really help us to describe what it's about. My one word feedback I often get is inspirational, overcoming. So those are a couple words that you know are I got from other people to
Great.
describe it.
And then the loan asked, oh, I would love the link for the newsletter and press release templates you mentioned in your description. Where can I get that? So those actually are linked right there in the description. You click the link and sign up for the newsletter and you will get access to that. But if you're having trouble with that, go ahead and scan the QR code right here. Okay, thank you for that. Moving on to the next one. How do you navigate the balance between providing enough information in a press release without giving away too much of the story?
Wow. Ooh, that's a good question, and I would say it's another place that I like to ask a couple of trusted people for feedback on. And I think my nature is to distill, even though I can just talk. I can also distill. I've written a lot of poetic prose poetry, one-liners, because I love getting things down to their very essence, which is why I love the stencils for the visual art form and the word art form, getting it down to as few words as possible. That's kind of my nature. That's that I love. In museums, I'm always heading to even as a little girl, the Asian section where it's, the most refined, simplest art forms. That's the stuff that moves me the most. So refining it down, I often have gotten the feedback that people want more. And I love short stories. I love, this is the story and just tell it. So this next book is going to be more, the one I'm working on now, ruminations. going on, which is not my nature in writing, but I'm going to do it because it's what people are asking for. So go with who you are, and then ask a couple, at least one really trusted person to help you. And we do our art for us, but we share it to move others. Let's be honest about that. And so you need to know from someone else if they got it, if they're moved, if they're intrigued. So find one, or at least one, or a couple people you can trust, and get feedback.
That's great. I think that's a wonderful one to end it on. And if we didn't get to your question this time, we will in the next live stream, because we hit the 1 hour mark, and we want to let Claire get back to her day. Thank you so much. I'll let you wrap up.
Well, thank you, everyone. I really appreciate you showing up, and I love the comments and questions, and I really am grateful for anyone that shares what we're doing with their friends. I don't mind admitting that's, why I'm doing these, is to hopefully inspire and inform and empower you to share your unique and purposeful, valuable work with the world. Everyone has something valuable to share with the world, and it takes a lot of courage to face all the doubt and competitiveness and criticalness in the world, and keep going till you find it, and then refine it and share it and promote it. And this grant, thank you, Minnesota State Arts Board and National Endowment for the Arts, and for kicking me in the booty to do this, because it's not easy for me to talk about my work, but it's good for me, and I'm doing it. So if I can do it, you can do it. So thank you for being here. I really appreciate it. And I'll see you Monday at 11 and next Thursday at 11. And we're going to keep going till we reach 15. And this is number 6, was it? I think so. I'm not good at numbers.
Yes.
And so thanks for being here and telling your friends about it. We really appreciate comments and likes and subscribe and all that stuff. It's hard for me to ask for, but I'm facing my insecurity about asking for it. We all need help. And
Sure.
help me help others. All right.
All right, everybody. Thank you so much for coming. Bye, Facebook. And bye-bye, YouTube.